Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today at NRF 2025 in New York City. Today, we'll be walking through an evolution with one of our customers about the Amazon Just Walk Out system and with GRIDSERVE Global. My name's Nathan O'Neill, Director of Technology with Amazon's Just Walk Out team, and I'm really excited today to be sharing the stage with Toddington Harper. Toddington is the CEO of Gigatons and the founder of GRIDSERVE UK, a leading EV charging network for electric vehicles. One of the reasons why I'm excited today to have Toddington here is that he's going to present some anecdotes about his success, not just with his EV charging network, but also implementing Just Walk Out. Toddington, thank you very much for being here today.
Thanks, Nathan. It's great to be here and great to see you all.
So Toddington, why don't we get started? Can you tell us a little bit about GRIDSERVE, what it does, what its mission is?
Yeah, sure. So I've been in sustainable energy for 23 years. I've been building sustainable energy businesses in this space. I've been driving an electric car for 11 years now. And you know, when it comes to electric vehicles, people talk about a similar kind of concept where you are in the world, that the vehicles are great, but charging typically has had, you know, people haven't described it as awesome. That's not the standard term. And I wanted to, really drive the mass adoption of electric vehicles. I want to deliver at the speed and scale required to address the climate crisis. And so I built a business in the United Kingdom called GRIDSERVE. It is now the leading charging network in the UK. So we're charging around 250,000 electric vehicles every single month. We're charging them with clean energy. I also built the energy infrastructure. So we built solar farms, battery projects, and so on to power the network. And it's been one heck of a journey, and we're in the very high power end of it. When people talk about electric vehicle charging, there's, differences from, plugging your car in at home, to what we do, which is really high power, typically 350 kilowatt or more chargers, which means you can put 100 miles of charge in only 5 minutes. And we've got thousands of those chargers across the whole depth and breadth of the UK. And so really we've revolutionized, we achieved what we set out to do, which was completely revolutionize electric vehicle charging in the UK, so that now if you want to get an electric car, you can drive across the UK, pretty much anywhere, via the motorway network without any anxiety around charging, knowing that there will be a GRIDSERVE station there. You'll be able to charge your vehicle very, very quickly. And in addition to that, off the motorway, we've been building pretty incredible sites we call electric forecourts, which we'll talk more about today, and a great collaboration with Just Walk Out.
Yeah, so in your electric forecourts, some of them are built out with a Just Walk Out store, right?
Yeah, so I guess as I explained from my introduction, I'm really an energy person, power and energy. I've built a lot of solar projects, a lot of battery projects, a lot of electric vehicle charging infrastructure. But, certain sites, you're able to put chargers into an existing location. But there are other sites where you need electric vehicle charging and the location is just not at all suitable. And for those particular sites, you have to build the whole location. And so you build something not too dissimilar like this picture here. In the UK, we were the first people to do this. In the UK, you call you call a gas station a petrol forecourt. That's the language we use. And so we use the phrase electric forecourt. And we designed them from scratch. We got obtained planning permission, secured the grid connections, built these sites. But initially, we when it comes to the retail building, because you've got somebody then with you for a period of maybe 20 minutes, half an hour, and so on. So we knew we needed to serve that customer to give them the best possible customer experience. We knew we needed coffee. We knew we needed retail. But I guess it sounds pretty silly to be at a retail event and sharing our reservations that we were very confident about charging an electric vehicle. We were very confident about putting clean energy in, but we were less confident about serving coffee and selling Mars bars. And so what we did initially is we worked with third-party retailers. And that was great to start with. The buildings looks incredible. We blew out the water, the previous charging experience. So everyone was pretty amazed about what we'd done. But the more time continued, it became clear to me that there was a disconnect between what we were doing outside, which was building this incredible infrastructure, and bringing in lots of customers. And then when they went into the building, as far as we were aware, we didn't really know what else happened. So that was the end of the story, and it would go to a third-party retailer. And so the kind of pace of change outside and our ambitions to keep delivering, really world-class experience that delights people, that encourages people to make this transition, we just weren't able to do that. And so, we searched around as to, potential solutions that could allow us to become our own retailer, and we discovered Just Walk Out, and it's just incredible technology.
Right. I might take a minute just to describe the Just Walk Out technology for those of you who aren't familiar with it. So Just Walk Out really is based on machine learning and AI algorithms. And what we're able to do, mostly now with just cameras, is take videos of people entering a store, walking around a space. We can track them, and then we can track what they're taking, what items they're taking. That allows them to exit the store and then be charged afterwards without going to a checkout. So if someone's recharging their car in 5 minutes and they want to be able to go in and out very quickly without lines, they're able to do that with Just Walk Out technology. Toddington, maybe you could go into some depth about why you chose Just Walk Out, over some other autonomous retail options.
Yeah, I guess before we even got to autonomous retail options, we started with retail options. And we weren't a traditional retailer. And we really wanted to keep our focus on what we knew really well, which was, it's hard enough to build all the generation infrastructure for charging, and all the charging infrastructure, and look after it, and build what we call smart connected software, so that, to make it really easy for people to use electric vehicles, we think that they shouldn't have to think about charging and have to work out where to charge. We think the network should just understand who they are, what vehicle they're using, where they're going, and make it really easy for them, by directing people to the right charging location en route that will allow them to have the best experience, get there in the quickest time, and not have any issues around charging. And that's a big enough endeavor in itself. But we also knew that, we know that when they turn up at those locations, particularly if it's the electric forecourts where, we are that location, that they really need a good retail experience as well. So we didn't want to come, distracted and unfocused for what we knew was our core, but we also wanted to deliver excellence. We have EV excellence is, we really want to deliver the best possible experience, and so we didn't, want to suddenly stumble into selling retailers and spend, selling, coffee and Mars bars and so on, and take years to become good at it. We wanted it to be great from the beginning. And so with that in mind, Amazon Just Walk Out technology absolutely blew us away from day one. It meant that we could concentrate on bringing in customers. We could concentrate on understanding what it is that the customers kind of want and giving them that. And the technology could be an incredible support around us to allow us to become a retailer, to give us the data to constantly optimize what the customer is looking for, to kind of complete the whole fulfillment process, to help us work out how to optimize, revenue and understand more about what customers want. And we could do that incredibly quickly. And what Amazon also did is they introduced us to the company called Simply Fresh, which was the partner who could provide all the goods. And so we went from kind of looking at exploring different options, I'm thinking how are we going to crack this, to suddenly delivering what we believe is the best possible retail experience that there is.
Right.
We did it in one store on our first go, as a result of using this technology.
Yeah, so you've not just using the Just Walk Out technology, but the analytics and also the integration of replenishment and so forth.
Yeah, I mean, for anyone who hasn't used it, it's just amazing. You walk into the store, you tap your card, the gate opens, and at that point you can pick up whatever you want. If you decide you don't want it, you can put it back on the shelf. You can pick up anything from a bottle of water to a sandwich to anything you want, quite literally, and then you just walk out at the end. It's quite remarkable. And if you walk in with a group of people, and so if you walk in with, like, say, 2 people, and you're with your family and small kids, then everything they pick up gets added to it as well.
Yeah, that's right. Group shopping is definitely something that we support. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about the store design and construction process, that you went through retail integration as you were onboarding Just Walk Out stores.
Yeah, so I think the really important thing for us as well is that we're in a hurry. We need to, climate change isn't waiting for us. Emissions are rising all the time. People are making just choices now about what vehicle they should get. And one of the things that, holds people back is the charging infrastructure ready to support what it is that we need. So we needed to get there quickly. And we also needed to ensure that the projects that we were already working on weren't delayed. And that was why it was very helpful to have a partner like Amazon that could become part of that process. And it kind of almost like from a shopping list, say, well, these are your options. You can have this, you can have this, you can have this, you can have this. It brought together partners that allowed us to get those projects delivered seamlessly. It really was, to be honest, a phenomenal experience, which I guess is why we're here, because it has been really successful. And it meant that we were able to complete the retail store and, as I say, deliver a really incredible experience. And it happened at the same time as completing the rest of the project, the grid connection and everything else. So it didn't delay the overall project at all. So effectively, there was no additional time added, which was incredible. And we've just heard nothing since then, but, incredible compliments.
Yeah, great. And in fact, I would like to remind everyone, we've actually got some new features that we're showing at this show. One of them is a new container type store with a very secure authentication mechanism. Could be dropped into location, and it's at our booth at this show if you'd like to come by and see it. I did want to talk a little bit about some of our value drivers for Just Walk Out and how we've seen them play out with GRIDSERVE. So one of the big things that we believe is that with a Just Walk Out store, since we're able to get shoppers into the store and through the store a lot faster, we can increase top-line revenue with that increased throughput. Toddington, is that something that you've seen in your stores?
Yeah, so, what's been really helpful for us is to have a really clear understanding about what's happening in the retail store in real time. And so, what we didn't want to do, and again, because we haven't got the background of, being a traditional retailer and having all of the systems in place, knowing that, that product is selling really well, or it's sold particularly well today, and you now have to restock that shelf, and you need to do it, really quickly, has been incredibly helpful, which has meant that we haven't lost revenue opportunities through not having the right products available. But also the process of being able to constantly optimize everything as we go along has been great. The previous retail options which we weren't operating, I got a little frustrated because, I'd come back to the stores and the same goods that clearly weren't selling were there time and again. And we just don't have that now because we know absolutely in real time exactly what is selling, what isn't selling. It allows us to optimize And that allows us to obviously generate more retail, and I won't go into the full details now, but I can certainly say that from opening our first forecourt at Gatwick, the retail sales that we achieved were significantly far, beyond what we'd achieved from when we were leasing spaces to other third parties.
Yeah. So again, using the analytics and the feedback much faster than maybe a traditional retailer.
Yeah, and particularly if you're not a traditional retailer, it allowed us to start off and really accelerate, much faster. We went from kind of zero to, we think, having a leading retail proposition in one go, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah. One of the other value drivers that we present is labor efficiency. So because you don't necessarily need staff at the checkouts, they can be doing other things. Is that something that you've seen in your stores as well?
Yeah. So again, because you've got this amazing technology, it means you don't have to have, people with all, individual skill sets, in order to operate a full experience. And so what it's meant for us is that, we are now, obviously looking after customers when they come in. We're helping people with their charging sessions. We're talking to them about electric vehicles, about electrification. We're helping serve coffee, and we're supporting a retail experience. And we're able to do that with the same people. You're able to use the same kind of skill sets across different aspects, and at the same time knowing you're delivering a really world-class experience in each area. And that's been really helpful, particularly is, I think it's just inherently you have, staff are humans, and that means that sometimes, people won't be able to get to work, or they might be late, or it might be weekends, or people going on holidays. So being able to share the kind of skill sets or having multiple people able to do multiple roles has been phenomenal. And that's really helped add to efficiencies in what we're doing as well.
Yeah, and especially they could take a break, 5-10 minutes, without having to be in the store. Or they could be helping a customer find something instead of having to be at the checkout.
Yeah, and then the same person who is, supporting with a coffee can then support with retail. The same person who was helping a customer with their charging session can also stop into the retail as well. So it's really made the whole process a lot more efficient than it otherwise would have been.
Yeah. Okay. And also with Just Walk Out, we can operate some stores fully unattended during the night. We do have a new anti-theft gate that we've installed in several university stores today. Beyond that, there's one more big value driver I'd like to talk about, and that's really enhancing the shopper experience. We see that being able to see that there's short lines, being able to get in and out quickly is valuable to shoppers. Do you have other insights, Toddington, you'd like to share on that?
So in terms of the speed of...
Yeah, the speed or other enhancements that shoppers might see in a Just Walk Out store.
Yeah, I think one of the cool things about Just Walk Out is that clearly behind what we're doing is an incredible team who are constantly innovating in the background. As I walked in here, I went into the Just Walk Out. I'm not sure if it's a temporary store. I haven't been here before, or it's permanent.
It's actually a permanent store here in the Javits Centre. We have Just Walk Out.
Okay, and I saw it, and I was like, wow, I've got to check this out. What have they got here? And I saw hot food, and I saw coffee as well. And I was like, wow, so you can get a coffee, and you can serve a coffee and get billed in the same way as you would normally be, kind of like in the same way as you would pick up a Mars bar or a can of Coke. And I think, really one of the incredible things is that we know that behind us, we're able to deliver a really good customer experience, and that's essential. But we know behind that everything that we are doing today, there's an incredible team led by you and others in Amazon who are thinking about what comes next. So I imagine behind what I'm doing, there's all sorts of things we don't know about yet. But it's really cool. And knowing that there's constant optimization, constant innovation, when you set that bar as high as as we have in the UK, and certainly in my role now in terms of GRIDSERVE Global, which is expanding beyond the UK under a new parent company called Gigatons. So a gigaton is a billion tons of carbon emissions, by the way. And if the world has got any chance of keeping temperature rises to within 1.5 degrees of warming, we need to reduce 59 gigatons of emissions, billions of tons, by 2050 and get halfway there by 2030. It's a pretty big challenge. We're not going to get there without AI. We're not going to get there without blockchain, I think. And we're not going to get there if people don't find that this delivers them a better experience than what they're currently doing. You need to make EV better. You need to make retail better. You need to provide a phenomenal experience. And so kind of knowing behind us, there's an organization like Amazon, just like constantly innovating, constantly pioneering, constantly developing, stuff that's just going to keep raising the bar, gives us a huge amount of confidence as well.
Yeah, that's right. And, Amazon is part of the Climate Pledge initiative, but also, we just love to see EV vehicle charging networks grow, because that is a sign that EVs are being adopted. It makes it easier for EVs to be adopted as well.
Yeah, and we need to go at one heck of a pace. Time isn't on our side, but there's a carrot and there's a stick. And people think in very different ways, and also people are very busy with their lives. And so whichever way you look at it, we think if we can make it more attractive to go in an EV, you can provide a better experience than a gas station. At the moment, people talk about electric vehicles, as I mentioned at the beginning, the experience of charging being difficult. We kind of would like to position ourselves a bit like Amazon actually did with retail. So 20 years ago, when you used to buy something online, it used to be awkward, quite scary, a bit difficult. People were a bit nervous about it. And where are we 20 years later? It's now easier to buy something online. No worry in the world. You don't like it, push another button, it sends back. And that's where electric vehicles are going. There will be a time in the future where people look back at where we are today and go, wow, we used to use gas stations, God, do you remember that? Because we've made it easier and better. And the quicker we can make that experience phenomenal, the quicker we can make it awesome, will be the quicker we start really accelerating at the speed needed to drive transformation.
Yeah, that's right. I might ask you if, as part of your adoption of Just Walk Out, if there's any advice that you would like to give retailers who might be considering it amongst other autonomous retail solutions.
Yeah, so I guess this probably fits into two categories. So I guess my overarching advice would be try it, because unless you've tried it, you don't know. And to be honest, every time we've kind of unwrapped a bit more, we've been really delighted with what we found underneath. As I mentioned, like the smartest people I've probably ever met, or some of them are constantly building stuff to sort of delight, our customers and ourselves. And that's really cool knowing that that's what's behind it. So, if you are somebody like me who's hasn't got a retail background, well, this is a way to get in the lead very, very quickly. But I also imagine that if you do have a retail background, you'd probably find it even more interesting, because then you've optimized everything that you possibly can from an autonomous perspective, from a traditional perspective. And then if you then look at what are the additional tools available to you from an autonomous perspective, then I imagine you could really take more use of that. I'm sure we'll get there in terms of optimization. But I'm not really sure about what all the different options are around autonomous. But what I can say is that Just Walk Out technology works, and that's made my life easier.
That's good to hear.
If you get a receipt and the receipt has on it what you picked up off the shelf, and if you're with a group of people and they all have receipts that they match it, then that's great. So I don't know other options that there might be out there, but what I do know is that, when I found something that works really well, I tend to like to stick to it and work out how to optimize it.
Yeah, no, that's good feedback. And I would note that Amazon's Just Walk Out, it's not limited to service stations, petrol forecourts or electric forecourts. We service over 200 stores today in anywhere from sports stadiums. We're the largest sports stadium autonomous just walk out retailer in North America. We also have many airport stores, and in the last 12 months we've expanded to university stores as well as hospitals, and we're branching out into other verticals as well. One of the new things that we're showing here at NRF is our second generation of RFID gate lane, as we call it, and it's designed for the apparel vertical. So we've already installed 7 of these in sports stadiums. Works a little bit different to the normal just walk out in that in lieu of a lot of cameras and sensors, we put all of the sensing technology at exit. And if you'd like to see it, our partner Avery Dennison has our RFID gate lane in their booth today. So encourage you, if you're interested in that aspect, go over there and check that out. Thank you, everyone, and have a great rest of the show.
Thanks, everyone.